anthrax exposure have rattled Americans nationwide and, in fact, our viewers all over the world. We know you have questions. Here to answer as many of them as possible is oncologist, immunologist, and author of the upcoming book, How to Protect Yourself from a Terrorist Attack, Dr. Charles Simone. Doctor, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about spores. We're hearing about anthrax spores. What are they exactly?
Spores are spherical items, and it takes about 50,000, anywhere from 10 to 50,000 of them to get inhaled and cause inhalation anthrax, the worst form of anthrax.
But how many is that? I mean, would that, if you were going to inhale 50,000 spores, it sounds like a lot.
50,000 spores can fit on top of a pinhead. Now, the key thing with spores is they need to be aerosolized. They need to be puffed into the air, and that's how they get into our body. If they're bigger than 10 microns, they don't get in. If they're smaller than 1, they go in and come right out. So you need to have a certain size spore, which is very difficult technically to make, and then you need to have it be inhaled.
Now, these spores are, in essence, alive. How long can they live?
They're not alive. They're dormant. Once they get into the body, then they become alive. They get working. Sunlight will kill them. Bleach will kill them. So many things we have readily available can kill them.
So some kind of an aerosol that would spray them outdoors in the sunlight would kill them immediately, or does it take some time?
The sunlight would kill them out in the outdoors. But the problem is spraying them. Imagine trying to spray liquid. We all do that every day when we clean a window or something. But now imagine trying to put a powder in that same spraying device and spray out powders. Very, very difficult to do. Technically, to weaponize an anthrax spore is very difficult to do.
So when you hear about anthrax spores being dormant in the soil, for instance, is that the kind of medium where they are most likely to survive?
On the hides of cattle or other animals, yes.
Where will they die the fastest?
Sunlight, bleach, things like that. We have a lot of protection against them. If we get exposed, for instance, if we come to a letter and there's powder in it, the first thing you should do is drop the letter down, leave the room, call 911. The next thing you should do is decontaminate yourself. Get a bottle of bleach, get one aliquot, one portion of bleach, mix it with 9 portions of water, and wash off your skin. That'll decontaminate your skin. Leave it on there for about 10 or 15 minutes. That's very important. Then wash it off with soap and water. That will kill anything that's on your skin. Generally, we're seeing spores on skin and not being aerosolized in the air. So we're well protected. The other thing is we have a great abundance of antibiotics in this country. Doxycycline is the key one to use. Doxycycline taken twice a day, 100 milligrams a day, twice a day, is in abundance in our country. That's the most important one to use. Penicillin is second. Then, of course, the third one that you hear all the time, and God knows how that happened.
Let's take some questions from our viewers. They have some questions that perhaps you can give us answers to. Let's go to the first one now.
Wanted to know what kind of symptoms to look for and how long you had to get into a doctor to have them checked out.
That's a good question. We can get symptoms, they're flu-like symptoms, so they're not very characteristic compared to regular flu. After about 4 or 5 days, if they continue, and flus can continue up for about a week, and you've been exposed, or you think you've been exposed to something, like in a mailroom, other people, colleagues have been exposed to it, then I think you need to see a doctor about doxycycline or something like that.
So 4 or 5 days is not too late. You still have some time to get in.
That's right, because within 4 or 5 days, you still have a great deal of time to get in with a good antibiotic and kill it.
All right, another question from one of the viewers.
Is it normally fatal, anthrax, once the person has contracted it?
Inhalation anthrax is fatal, not cutaneous, etc. But if treated properly, preventively, or at the time of diagnosis, you can cure it very easily.
Now, what about a vaccine? Is there a vaccine?
There is a vaccine, and the military has used it. It's not one that's readily available, but there are 6 different doses for it, given in several weeks at a time, and then several months after that, yes.
Is it possible, I mean, you talked about opening suspicious envelopes that have powder in them, but is it possible that somebody could just dust a piece of mail with some of these spores and send it to you, and you would not see a powder but still be exposed?
That is possible, but don't forget, you have to deal with the quantity of spores, which is a volume to deal with, and it has to be in the air for it to really cause you a problem.
Let's take a look at some of the email that our viewers have sent us. Here's one question. If mail with anthrax was thrown out unopened and taken to the trash dump, would it not multiply in that environment and create an environmental disaster?
It needs to have been infected in some body to do multiplication. Yes, it just can't multiply on its own without a food source.
So buried in the ground, it's essentially safe?
Yes.
All right. Another email question. Please explain how the terrorist stores anthrax, loads it into the envelope to the post office, all the while keeping himself safe.
Well, all you have to do to keep safe is wear a mask, wear gloves. It's an easy organism to deal with and readily available to protect yourself against. Like we've talked about this in our book, How to Protect Yourself Against Terrorist Attack. We have a 5-step plan that I'm sure they're following as well.
One more quick one, because we've heard a lot about this week. A writer says, a viewer writes, my mom says you should iron your mail before you open it. This will kill anything biological in the envelope, including anthrax. True?
That's not true. Anthrax spores are very hardy organisms, and they resist heat. Not sunlight, but heat. So heating with an iron is not going to kill them immediately.
So open your mail in the sunlight might be the best answer.
That's
there.
right.
All right. One more question from one of our...
Could they make this a weapon? Is this some kind of aerosol that, more than like 2 to 3 people could be affected and become sick?
The answer is yes. You can, if you can have the technology to aerosolize it, more than 1 or 2 or 3 people can be involved, yes. But it's difficult.
Yeah, and a lot of nations have tried, and
yes.
And it takes tremendous amounts of equipment.
Technically difficult. You can't just go to a spraying device and put the powder in and try to spray it. It doesn't work.
Because what we've seen so far, pouring it into an envelope and sending it through the U.S. mail, is really a pretty crude delivery system.
Low tech. We do have lots of protection now. Just remember, we can decontaminate our skin. We have loads and loads of antibiotic, doxycycline, penicillin. Lots of protection out there for us. Nothing to worry about.
Dr. Simone, thanks very much. When we come back,